marvellous.
The wonders of Zoom. The wonders of Zoom. Welcome, Adam Henson, TV personality, presenter of Country File, tenant of Cotswold Farm Park, all-round good egg. I've met you a couple of times now, Adam. It's always been fleeting. At parties, actually. I've only ever met you at parties.
Really? Good. I don't go to parties. I'm too busy to go to parties.
No, not really. But I think the last time we met actually was with Julian Duckington's place, actually, when he opened the nice Shing Ding out in the Cotswolds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, before the lockdown and all the rest of it.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, amazing.
Good food as well.
Indeed.
Anyway, wonderful to see you. So today we're talking about the Country Food Trust. I believe they've is it 5 million food? Can you tell me?
1.5 million.
What is it?
Just over 1.5 million.
1.5 million. So can you tell us all about the Food Trust and why you joined it, then, please, sir?
Yeah, so the Country Food Trust is really a charity feeding those in need. So it's people in poverty, people in need. They're working with other charities, but what they're doing is taking food such as game, chicken, fish, all sorts of different meat proteins, using a professional chef to then create high protein meals that are vac packed, that have a long shelf life, and then deliver those meals to people in need and in poverty and the homeless and those sorts. And it's an incredible charity, sort of countryside charity, really, and very worthy. And I'm sort of delighted to be asked to be helping out.
Because you become a patron, aren't you? So big hitters on this trust. I know it's based down in Wootton Under Edge. David Gower, Phil Spencer from Location, and a few others as well. Is it Max Hinks? I think it is as well.
That's right.
Chef.
Mark Hinks,
yeah. So how did you get involved, and why did they ask you? And what are you going to do for the trust?
Yeah, so I've known about them for a little while. Sort of, they're known in the countryside for using game, particularly, pheasants and partridges and those sorts of things. They're not a charity that's trying to support shooting in any way. They're using the products from those game, harvesting, and they're also using other meats as well. So I've sort of known them from being born and brought up in the countryside and their early existence or early days of starting up, and I've watched them grow and increase and followed them on social media, and then seen that they've hit this 1.5 million meals. And I got invited to an event and got chatting to some of the bosses there, and they asked me whether I'd be interested to help promote it. And I have to say, I'm very, very lucky, very fortunate to have been born and brought up on a farm. I understand where my food comes from. I have never been hungry, and I find it difficult to imagine what that must be like. And so if, as a farmer and a food producer and someone who's passionate about the food that farmers put onto people's plates, to be able to help a project that's charitable and helping those who are in poverty and hungry, then and it's British and it's rural, then that's ticks all the boxes for me.
I mean, obviously, there's been a sea change, I feel, and maybe you might point in the right direction of the understanding of food. Lots of TV celebrities now explaining about, and I think we were at an event recently where you were talking about it wasn't the red tractor, but it was not the history of the food.
Happily, was it the traceability and provenance of food? Yeah,
that's right, and that seems to be, it's really important to get that across, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our parents and grandparents had an incredible understanding of food, and they understood the value of food. So if they bought a roast chicken as a treat on a Sunday, they would then have sandwiches on a Monday, and they'd make soup on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and those products were highly valued. But also, the nation seemed to understand a lot better, had a much closer connection to the countryside and food and farming. The farming community have probably left the general public behind in a way. The supermarkets and our shopping habits have made it such that food is incredibly readily available, and seasonality of certain fruits and vegetables and those sorts of things have been lost because we get them from all over the world now. And so the general public, I don't think it's their fault, but there is this sort of lack of understanding of where our food comes from. And in essence, it's reasonably cheap. And I think there's now a sort of resurgence of a section of society that are wanting to know more and more about food provenance. I think we're becoming much more conscious about the environment, about animal welfare, about the way we manage, waste and inputs and our water sources and those sorts of things, which has got to be a good thing. The David Attenborough documentary about plastics has completely revolutionized the way people think about plastics, even though governments have been going on about it for ages. And so I think that people are really getting to grips with that. My children, at 22 and 18, that talk about food and the environment and those sorts of things like I never did when I was their age. And so I think that's a good thing. And I think, farmers now are starting to communicate much more openly and readily, and very proud of the way we farm in this country. But tragic that there is still quite a void of knowledge in some sections of society, but also food poverty. So I've got some figures down here in front of me. So 8.4 million people in the UK, that's the equivalent to the entire population of London, are struggling to afford to eat. I mean, 8.4 million people. That's really, really scary, isn't it?
Yes, yes. I know lots of companies have done their bit here in Gloucestershire to try and help out, with kitchens and all the rest of it. And I know that you guys have done a lot to that as well.
Yes, I mean, we've got a local food bank in Guyton Power that my partner, she goes and helps out there. And, it's not great, that there are people struggling out there, but it is great that there are amazing charities that are available, and supermarkets and all these people that are contributing towards helping, feed those who can't afford to buy their weekly shop. And, really the Country Food Trust is another charity that's set up and doing a great job and working in conjunction with lots of other charities to help.
Well, if people want to help or putting their hands in their pockets, or they're struggling themselves, how do they get in touch with the County Food Bank?
Yeah, so go on to the www.thecountryfoodtrust.org, and there's a page there where you can donate, or you can help, or you can get involved, and they will not only deliver food to individuals or to bodies that will hand out the food to individuals. They'll also send bulk amounts of food that can be cooked in soup kitchens or wherever it may be. And so they can help out in many different ways. But if you go to the Country Food Trust website, all the information is there. And they, of course, are trying to raise money to continue to develop their work and get bigger and provide more to those in need.
So is one last thing that you'd like to say, Adam? One last message you'd like to get across to our Punchline readers? What would that be, sir?
I would say wherever you can, try and think carefully about what you're eating and where it's come from and the passion and hard work that's gone into producing it. And if possible, try and spend a little bit longer looking at the label, and wherever you can, support British farming, because our legislation in the way we manage our landscape, our animals, our employment law, our waste, our inputs is incredibly tightly legislated. And if you buy food from abroad, it might be good, but it might not be. But if you buy British, you can buy with confidence.
We won't get into chlorinated chicken then.
It's a travesty that our government would even consider doing a trade deal to allow foodstuffs from across the other side of the world that don't meet all the food hygiene, animal welfare, production systems that we legislate so tightly for in this country, and that would undercut our British farming and food production systems, which is worth millions, billions to the UK. Why would you sell us up the Swanee? And also, there's a huge health risk when it comes to buying in food from abroad that has more antibiotics in it than anything we would have over here, or hormones in it that we're not allowed to use here. It's dangerous.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to try and do a deal, aren't they? You can see Trump really leaning on it. Do you think they'll be able to bash it back?
I think the National Farmers Union and the farming lobbyists and food producers over in this country are really pushing very, very hard against it, and putting their cards on the table and putting a very, very strong argument why we shouldn't. And I think, you know, we've all been working incredibly hard during COVID to try and protect our National Health Service. And, oh, hang on, the dog's scratching, making a noise.
That's okay, no worries. I fell off my chair.
That why, you know, we've been trying to protect the National Health Service. Why would we want to put the health of the British public at risk by buying in food that has things in it that we don't allow over here?
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Well, Adam, fantastic to talk to you again. Thank you ever so much for your time. And you know, good luck as patron.
Thank you very much indeed.
Cheerio, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.